Next problem from the Chapter 3B quiz review. We're going to look at several problems here. We'll go with 5, 6, 7, 8, and we'll see if we even have time for 9. So the directions state, find the value of each. So we are just evaluating these log expressions. So the first one we've got here is log base 2 of 32. We want to know what that equals. And remember, just like in our notes before, we would just kind of take this, set it equal to x. And if we want to figure out what its value is, we're thinking about just taking it here and rewriting it in its exponential form. So we're going to say here 2 to the power of x should equal 32. And then if we think about rewriting 32 as base 2, that's really the same thing as 2 to the 5th power. So if 2 to the x equals 2 to the 5th, then we know that the value of our expression there is going to be 5. Okay, number 6 says log of the square root of 1,000. So remember, when we don't have a subscript number here, it's implied that that is base 10. So we're going to do the same thing, just set it equal to x. And let's rewrite it in its exponential form. So we're going to say here 10 to the power of x equals the square root of 1,000. Okay, and with this one here, we can rewrite this with the same bases as well, right? We've got 10 to the power of x is equal to, this would be like saying the square root of 10 to the third power, right? 10 to the third power is 1,000. And then remember, since this is like the second root, we can use our flower power here and rewrite that as 10 to the power of x is equal to 10 to the 3/2 power, right? Power over root. And then, in which case, this problem then, x should equal 3/2 or 1.5. Okay, moving on to the next one. For the next one here, let's see. I'm going to switch colors. Let's do a different color we haven't done. We have log base 6 of log base 8 of 8 is equal to something here. So as we look at that, right, this part should kind of stand out to us here. Log base 8 of 8, right? That has another value. What is the value of that? Right? Log base 8 of 8, if we were to take it here and say, all right, so what power would we have to raise 8 to get 8? We know that this would have to be equal to 1. So in this case here, this is the same thing then as log base 6 of 1 equals x. And then if you wanted to take that and kind of put it into its exponential form, this would be stating here that 6 to some power is equal to 1. Well, the only value that we can have in the exponent to get an answer of 1 would be 0, right? Because 6 to the power of 0 equals 1. So we know that this has to be 0. So the value of this expression up here, this whole entire thing, is actually just 0. And let's move on to number 8 then. We have log base 3 of the cube root of 1/9. All right, so let's just take it here. We can go around the world right now, or we can kind of clean it up before we do that. For instance, we have log base 3 of the cube root of, this is like saying 1 over 3 squared, which really is the same thing as 3 to the negative second power, right? So you could take it and you could break it down like that. But then we could even go even farther here and say that, this is the cube root of 3 to the negative second, which if we use our flower power, right, we've got log base 3 of 3 to the negative 2/3 power. And now if you remember your patterns for the logs that we've seen here, right, when we have the same base here and in our value, we know that our answer tends to end up being whatever the exponent is. Now, you could always still take it here and set it equal to x and do 3 to the power of x is equal to 3 to the negative 2/3 power, right? So 3 to the power of x equals our value of 3 to the negative 2/3 power, in which case we know then that x has to equal negative 2/3. So that is the value of our expression on number 8. If you have questions about any of those, please make sure you mark them down. We're going to go ahead and jump into number 9 as well. It says, which of the following is equivalent to log base 3 of 7? So log base 3 of 7, right? Remember, there's several ways that we could look at these here. Let me switch to another pen. Let's go all the way back to red. So log base 3 of 7, when we look at it here, right, if I wanted to take this back to its exponential form, I could say that this is 3 to the power of x equals 7. And we talked about, you know, the ability to change the base. We use the change of base formula. So one of these here, we could say, you know, if I wanted to check to see if I could make any of these expressions here, well, if I took the log of each side, this would be like log base 3 of x is equal to, I'm sorry, log of base 10 of 3 to the power of x is equal to log of 7. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. Okay, and we could say, all right, well, we would move our exponent out in front here, so we'd have x times log base 3, I'm sorry, base 10 of 3 equals log of 7. And we could actually take this and divide this by log of 3. And you'll see here we just made that expression here for letter A. So we know that letter A is going to end up being the same thing. So we can go ahead here and say A is going to be equivalent. Now, when we look at B, let's kind of like work backwards here. Somehow here, like this 3, right? If we took it here and we moved it back up here as an exponent, okay, we'd have log of 7 to the 3rd power, which is actually way different than what we're looking at over here, right? So that is not going to be it. 3 to the 7th there, I think that's kind of common sense that that's not going to be it. And log base 10 of 21, that would have had to have come from log of 3 plus log of 7, which we can't really get from, you know, the expressions that we had there, right? We had to divide to move our log over. That's where we got this. So D isn't going to work, C is not going to work, and B is not going to work. If you have a calculator available when you're doing this here, right, you could always just take each of these values, plug them in to see what the, you know, approximate value would be, and whichever one matched this, then you would want to go with that one. Okay, that would be kind of the common sense approach to it. All right, so that is problem number 9, and we'll talk about some of the other ones here in another video. Thanks for watching.